Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Pittsburgh Current Podcast. I am Associate Publisher Bethany Rue. Charlie Deach has today off. I hope that sounded super professional. I was practicing. Hopefully, by now, you guys have been able to pick up your Volume 8 of the Pittsburgh Current. Charlie talked to Chu Jackson. I had an extensive interview with him and some of his friends, talking about Mac Miller's legacy, music, and their own futures. This will be on the stands out in the street until next Tuesday when issue 9 will come out. So hopefully you've had a chance to pick this up and give it a read. Lots of great content in there and online at pittsburghcurrent.com all the time. I wanted to start off talking about a few of our upcoming events that we have. First, yesterday, we launched our Christmas light competition. I know that several of my friends and neighbors have already started to decorate for the holidays. You might be one of them, and you might channel your inner Clark Griswold every year. And I know I've seen a few of those myself. So if that is you, if that sounds like you, we have our #CurrentlyLit contest happening. All you need to do is take a picture of your home and your decor, tag us in it, and hashtag it currently lit. And we'll be picking a winner. We'll be featuring some people throughout the month. You will get a giant Currently Lit Home of the Year trophy. And our visuals editor, Jake, will actually come and do a professional video of your home that will be featured on pittsburghcurrent.com. So if you haven't decorated yet, you still have time to get that, sort of in your thought process. And if you have already decorated, there's still time to go out and up your game. So make sure you're putting #CurrentlyLit and tagging us, and we will be picking a winner closer to Christmas. We also have our next Currently at our monthly happy hour series. This year we'll be visiting the Rock Room in Polish Hill. We will be there Thursday, November 29th from 4 to 7. So make sure you come and check us out. I guess I could give this away a little bit. Our next neighborhood feature is the wonderful neighborhood of Polish Hill. We'll have a deep dive into what's going on there. The future of Polish Hill. Will be celebrating all things Polish Hill at the Rock Room on Thursday. So come hang out with us. We'd love to see you. There's going to be drink specials. We'll have prizes to give away. You can hang with Charlie and some of our cool writers. So make sure you come and see us there. And lastly, we just launched our Merry Giftmas, our Pittsburgh's biggest gift exchange party. That will be Thursday, December 13th at Sing Sing in the Waterfront. It's $10 per ticket. That gets you your free first drink. There'll be a holiday buffet out. You just bring a $10 gift wrapped or in a bag. I'm a bag person. I prefer it. It's just a lot easier. And if you do that, you will also have a chance to pick up our super mega prize bag. It's going to have hundreds of dollars of gift cards and prizes in there. We're also raising money for a charity. We're locking in who that's going to be. But we will be announcing the charity here shortly. So we're going to be doing this for a good cause and a good time. Two of my favorite things. So make sure you check out Merry Giftmas. I'm also very happy to announce we are the proud media sponsor of the KSWA Wrestling Fan Fest and Toy Drive that's going to be held Saturday, December 1st. And Mike, you know these guys at KSWA. I heard you had their champion in here yesterday.
We had their champion in here, the Gavel David Lawless, a real lawyer that wrestles, and he's their champion currently. He's taking on Mitch Napier, who I believe he won the title from. But this is a big deal because the NWA World Heavyweight Champion Nick Aldis is going to be in the house taking on Sean Blanchard. That is the same belt that Ric Flair held all those times in the 70s and 80s. And it's been a big deal because that promotion's been recently purchased by Billy Corgan of the Smashing Pumpkins, and there's a fellow Dave Lagana that's been doing some really great stuff. If you're curious about that, go check out 10 Pounds of Gold on YouTube, and you can find out why this is kind of a more important. Also, JJ Dillon, if you're an old Four Horsemen fan, wrestling fans out there. And I want to give a shout out because there's another friend of the show that's on here, a friend of my shows that is on here, Sam Adonis. He's a fellow that's from Pittsburgh, the brother of Corey Graves that announces for WWE Raw. And he actually recently held the Lucha show that was across the street from our studio here in Beachview.
Beachview's just a hotbed of wrestling, if you guys didn't know that.
Yeah, apparently now. But he's a big star in the CMLL in Mexico, in Mexico City and everything. So this is going to be a good one. It's always a fun show. It is at the Spirit Lounge, right? That is a fun venue. That's where PodCon was held.
Yes, we were just there for PodCon. That's right.
So I definitely, if you're in town, want to go check out some wrestling, go check that out. The KSWA, always a real fun show.
Excellent. Thank you, Mike. And yeah, we're really proud to be their media sponsor. We'll be there too. It's fun for the whole family. I know I'm taking my 8-year-old. He got hooked on wrestling thanks to all the wrestling here in Beachview where we record in our headquarters. So
I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry. Well, not yet. I'll get back to me in a few years. We'll see how deep
we'll
this
see how
goes.
this goes when he starts training.
Yeah, but make sure you check that out. We're very, very proud to be a part of that. So thank you to Lou for asking us to come on board with that. So now I want to talk about today's special guest. We are going to be talking to Reginald Douglas, who is the artistic producer at City Theater, currently directing Pipeline. He's directed to places as diverse as Eugene O'Neill Center, Theater Square, Kennedy Center, and the list just kind of goes on. He's worked with a wide range of actors and playwrights, most recently with directing Dominique Morisseau's Pipeline, as we mentioned, and I hope I didn't mangle that last name, so sorry about that. So without further ado, welcome Reginald. Thank you so much.
Good morning.
Good morning. So we were chatting a little bit before we went live, and I was actually able to sneak into the 1:00 show yesterday afternoon, which was amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, and you actually popped up and made a surprise appearance at the end, so that was nice. I actually got to see you a little bit before the show today. So I know that you are a New York native. Could you maybe describe to our listeners sort of what is it an artistic producer does, what their role is within a theater, and sort of how you came to land in that role?
Sure. Well, thank you for having me. As a producer, artistic producer, I try to sum up my job as the person who helps guide our team from taking a play from page to stage. And so I help curate the season. I read a lot of plays with our artistic team at City Theater. And once we narrow it down to the plays we're interested in, it's my job to help figure out how we hire the director, what designers we should hire, what actors we should hire. So I oversee our casting work. I work directly with all our designers on their designs for the show, how we think it could be realized, work with directors. And I'm my own producer when I'm the director, so I'm the one telling myself yes and no. And then as we get into production, really guiding our team, we have an amazing production team at City Theater, which somehow was able to make work that is vast and ambitious and challenging happen in our small little scene shop. It's quite remarkable what the staff at City Theater is able to do. And so I get to work alongside them and making sure that the work we present matches our standards of excellence and our standard of ambition, and always really specific to the director and artist and playwright's visions.
So I will say, as somebody that did attend it yesterday, I personally was blown away with what you and your team were able to do with what seems like such a small space. The stage is not a physically large stage at all, as anybody that's been to City Theater knows. But the way you were able to make it seem so large, but also so small and intimate at the same time, I think is a true testament to the skill you and your team have. So,
thank you.
Yeah, you're
That's
welcome.
My favorite, my favorite way to describe the work that I'm interested in doing as an artist. It's epically intimate, and so you feel very much a part of the conversation and part of the scenes. You're part of the world of the play, but it has an epic quality to it. It's big ideas. Mm-hmm. Grandeur is something we enjoy. I enjoy. And I use the word audacious often, work that's bold and big, but the heart of it's specific and intimate. So that's great to hear that it worked.
Yes, it did. So what draws you personally to doing these sort of, to kind of fleshing out new works? I mean, what do you think is the difference between doing that kind of work versus maybe doing some of the bigger, more, well-known, established sort of plays? What
Sure.
What makes you want to do that?
Yeah, I'm really interested in theater that speaks to a community. And I really do believe that we need stories that reflect the world as it is now. But I also, as someone who has a political background, I went to school originally to study government. I wanted to be a lobbyist of all things, and somehow I ended up here in Pittsburgh directing plays. I really believe in the power of bringing people together, the power of empathy, that we can share a conversation and hopefully better understand each other, which I think is at the core of politics and sometimes can get lost. Mm-hmm. Is that our job is to bring a community together to represent communities. And through art, I get to do that. And I think new work especially and specifically allows you to speak to your community as it is right now, but also imagine what it could become. And so I think telling stories that reflect, what's going on in our community, what's going on in our world in new, innovative, unexpected ways is vital to changing and reflecting what America looks like right now, mm-hmm. but also what our country could become. And so I always say that an artist's job is not to put book reports on stage or just news reports. Our job is to add imagination, add theatricality, add the magic that reflects back to an audience who we are right now, but also what we could become. And so I love new works. I love theater that can do that, whether it's a more classic piece or a newer piece. But I do believe there's something special in writers that are writing right now and how they are actively shaping the next generation of culture. The next stories that we'll remember are being written right now. And I love being able to provide a platform for that kind of work and to do that work myself.
Well, I will say, again, there was a very diverse audience there yesterday. One of the things that I really enjoyed seeing as a Kappa grad myself, there was a whole busload of Kappa students there, and they were so engaged, and they were asking, they I think more than anybody were interacting the most in the conversation post play. And is that something that you try to do with every show that you have, or do you think that there's some shows that are better at reaching out to certain segments of Pittsburgh or different age groups or demographics?
Yeah, I mean, to me, this production's audience has been a dream. It's been so diverse in every way. And I always talk about the fullness of diversity, that yes, there's racial demographics that are, changing and new to see in the theater, which is exciting. But there's been such exciting age diversity, neighborhood diversity, I think is so important in Pittsburgh. That's not just people from Sewickley coming or Squirrel Hill coming, but everywhere around the city coming. It reflects back Pittsburgh. And I couldn't be more thrilled. To me, I think that's a goal for every production that I work on, and definitely for every show we do at City Theater. Mm-hmm. Community is at the core of what we do. Our managing director, James, likes to say we are one city for this city. And we really do mean it. Our dream is that by working with other nonprofit organizations, working with schools, really getting the word out to everywhere we can. And thanks to people like the Pittsburgh Current, we're getting better at it and better at it and better at it. We can hopefully reach all of the Pittsburgh community and let them know that the plays we produce are for everyone, But yesterday's audience, seeing that racial diversity and that age diversity, some of our oldest subscribers and audience members with some of our youngest, and putting them in conversation around a piece of art, I mean, that's a dream come true. I could not be prouder of what we've been able to accomplish with this show's audience.
Yeah, and as somebody, when I was watching it, there is some strong language and some strong themes there, and I was kind of like looking to my left and looking to my right, like they're okay. Yeah, they I think sometimes people could surprise you too. I think sometimes we don't give different audiences credit for what they want to see and what they want to experience. And yesterday kind of proved that out to me, at least in my experience.
I think more than anything, audiences are interested in truth, and the honest reaction to the play is that's language that everyone's heard before. Mm-hmm. It's not too much, there's not too many swear words. And so we actually have a student matinee happening right now at the theater. We have high school groups from 14 different Pittsburgh public schools watching Pipeline right now. Our education department is amazing, led by Kristen Link. And so about 600 students will see this play that reflects back their education system, their experiences growing up as young people. And they curse sometimes.
Yes,
I think no matter what age you are, you want to see art that's honest, that's truthful. And the more specific you are, I think the more universal the story can feel.
So I also want to remind our listeners that you can chime in live with questions or comments on our Facebook feed. Mike will be over here curating them. So if you have a question for Reginald or for myself, which quite frankly, you should have questions for Reginald, you can talk to me anytime. Please feel free to ask them. Also, make sure you're following along on social media, PGH Current for all of our channels. Going back to something you were mentioning, the Pittsburgh community and the Pittsburgh audiences. I mean, you've been to New York, you've been to DC, you've been to Arkansas. How does the Pittsburgh theater community sort of stack up and fit in the spectrum of everything you've been able to see and experience in your career?
Sure. I left New York 3 years ago to come to Pittsburgh to work at City Theater. It's really been a dream come true to work at a company that's dedicated to new work and to producing new work in this way. And that's because of the audience that we have. I think the City Theater audience in particular is engaged, is really curious. And that is the dream for an artist. I always want to remain curious and excited and open. And it's the biggest gift to all of us at City Theater that our audience is more curious than we are. You know, they want to know what's the cool new thing. They want to hear the story they haven't heard before. And so I think that Pittsburgh audiences are wonderfully smart, are open. I think there's a generosity in our community, in our audience that's really special. And I've got the chance to witness that, particularly through this production, because we have the dialogue for 5 or 10 minutes after every performance. I'm seeing people from all different backgrounds, different ages, different neighborhoods, different races, in conversation with one another with respect and with kindness, asking about, you know, big themes about race and about identity and about family, about the education system. But they're doing it with such insight and care. It's really special. And, you know, I love New York. It's my home. Until Pittsburgh became my home. I'm a proud black and gold bleeder now. I'm a big Steelers fan, so I do have my black and gold out every day. But New York's where I grew up, and that's the audience and the theater community that I was, raised in, and DC as well. And there's something so special about people who call our theater community, call City Theater their home. And that's what's so awesome as an artist, to have an artistic home, an audience that, walks through those doors and it feels like it's their place. And that doesn't happen in New York. And so I'm really grateful to the City Theater audience that I have a home, because they're interested in bold, exciting new stories. And whenever you go around town, I'm in New York doing auditions, or our artistic director Mark's on the phone with other theater companies, everyone's saying Pittsburgh's special. There's something about our city that we all none of us can name it, but there's something about the magic of this city. I think we're just small enough and just big enough that people can't get enough of the warmth and the power of Steel City. So I'm feeling it too.
Well, again, based on your answer, I'm sure if there was anybody that wasn't embracing you before, they are going to whole on bear hug you now, because that is the perfect answer for Pittsburghers. It kind of does play into, I think, our identity, that we're a small town within sort of a bigger city, and I think that's sort of what you touched on there.
There's a pride here, which is awesome. We're proud to be where we are. We don't apologize for anything. I think that's, for the most part, a good thing.
For the most part. I mean, my boyfriend doesn't think that about me personally when I don't apologize for anything, but that's a separate story. So bringing it back to Pipeline.
Yes.
So, and did you get graphics up, Mike, or do you need my lo-fi graphics here? I know you did something with Pipeline, and I don't know if you've done this before, but I know you did an original soundtrack with some local artists. Yeah. I know you worked with One Hood. We actually had an event in Homewood last month where Brittany Chantel actually came out and performed the piece that she wrote for the soundtrack. So could you talk to me about sort of what motivated you to do that and how that went, and just sort of talk about that whole experience as it relates to that soundtrack?
Working with One Hood was a real dream come true. When I first moved here in 2015, they were one of the first organizations that I encountered. And I met the founder, Jasiri X, and his wife, Celeste Smith. And Celeste said, "You're my cousin now." She adopted me. And so we've been looking, and I've been looking for a way to fold One Hood deeper into the City Theater family. And when I first read the play and encountered the play, it right away, like, the idea struck that, this could be the way for One Hood to get involved. And I went to the staff, our business side of the wing of the office, and said, I want to commission them, and I want to pay them to make the original score. I don't want it to be a favor. I want it to be, we are completely empowering this amazing collective of hip hop artists, or artivists, as they would say, artist activists, to use our production of Pipeline, a play that's all about the power of a Black man accepting and owning and fulfilling his identity in his terms. I want these artists who are doing that with their music every day to be a part of that. And the score that they came up with is, to me, some of the best music I've ever heard in the theater, anywhere. I think it's time for One Hood to write a musical, because the power of their lyricism, the specificity, the poetry. I mean, they produced all their own beats and music tracks for the songs as well. It was just amazing. I was blown away. And then working with our sound designer, the amazing Zach Beatty Brown, who's another Pittsburgh native and Pittsburgh resident. working with Zach and Trouble NLS, their main producer, Live from the City, and JM the Poet especially. With 5 of us, we just had the best collaboration. We're able to take, this portion of the track and put it under this song and echo the same love song under the parents' dynamic and the young kids' relationship. I call it my extended music video to some degree, because so much of the score informs the play. It really was a dream. I mean, it completely changed how we thought about the production, and I couldn't be prouder of the work we did together.
Yeah, it was amazing. I couldn't imagine watching that without music, to be honest. It was
Exactly.
It was almost like it was another actor, that was just as important as the other people on the stage. So, yeah, it's great. And I believe the soundtrack is for sale in Bad Bethany. I did not send a link to Mike, but I will. We will have a link to purchase the soundtrack in the show notes, because it is amazing, and the music from the show is amazing, and it's such a great collaboration between One Hood and the City Theater, and hopefully we'll get to see more collaborations like this, because it was truly special. So
I hope so too, and I think it's another way that Pittsburgh stands out is you can actually make collaborations like that happen.
Mm-hmm.
You know who the other players in town are, and instead of competing with each other, we're interested in bringing people together. New voices coming to City Theater is the best thing in the world. Mm-hmm. We want to be a home for other artists, and so I have to give a big shout out to the Director of New Play Development, Claire Drobot, and all the work she does on building new partnerships. In our lobby, there's artwork from Schumann Juvenile Detention Center, mm-hmm. and their response to the play. Our costume designer inspired them to respond in their own artistic way to Pipeline. We have One Hood responding. That's the dream. How can we be a place where other artists feel they are also welcome?
Well, and I feel like this play in particular was such a good place to do a response to the play, because the playwright herself, actually, you have this insert. This is church for some people, and you may call and respond. It's encouraged. And I definitely heard some people vocalizing throughout the play yesterday. So in a good way. So this brings me to my next question for you, which is sort of, how do you interact and work with the playwrights? Because I mean, the play is so much of your vision and your heart, but it's also her vision and her heart. And how do you make sure the two are melding and working together, and that you're being true to each other's vision for the piece?
Sure. In general, my work as a new play director, the playwright's sitting right next to me. A lot of the work we do at City Theater is a world premiere or plays in development. So it's very playwright-centered. A lot of my job is to help flesh out their vision and unearth their vision and unite it with my own into ours. But a play like Pipeline, so we are the 3rd production of this play. I was not allowed, but and also Dominique and I are really good friends and artists. We're connected artists, we like to say. And so there was a lot of trust there, and a lot of respect, mutual respect. This is the 2nd Dominique play that City's produced, and the 2nd Dominique play that I've directed. And I've read and been around all of her plays since the beginning of her career. So there's a lot of mutual respect and trust and care for the work, which allows me to know that my vision is in alignment with her vision. I know what Dominique wants the story to do for an audience, what ideas she wants it to spark, what dialogue she wants it to spark. So my job becomes, how can I use my artistry and my talents and my ideas to help flesh out hers? And that, to me, is the best collaboration between a director and a playwright, is we're working in mutual respect of each other to find something that's shared. But the core of that's trust and respect. And I have the utmost respect for MacArthur genius now, Dominique. What's also really cool is because we're friends, and some of the actors in the play also know Dominique personally, we Skyped with Dom throughout the process. So she was in LA shooting Shameless, and she Skyped in. Her Temptations musical is about to go to Broadway, so she was texting me from a rehearsal. And then she was in London right now, and she sent a nice email just saying, "You guys did it, congratulations." And she's also active on social media, showing her love and support. So she knows what we're up to in Pittsburgh, and she's got our backs, and she knows that we're taking care of her baby, and make sure her baby is received with open arms to our Pittsburgh audience. So it's good to have a friend, and it's good for that friend to be a genius now.
Yes. Well, she was a genius before. Now it's just official.
She was.
Now she just has a title.
Now the world knows. Exactly.
So when the season was premiered, your executive director, McNeil, said that the works that you're putting on stage this season are urgent, relatable, artistically diverse, and intellectually and emotionally fulfilling. I would definitely argue Pipeline is that. And not even necessarily with this play in particular, but with all the work that you've done accumulatively. Has there been any one work that's really personally stuck with you for any particular reason?
Sure. I know it's about Pipeline, so I'll make it about Pipeline, but it really is one of the most personal things I think I'll ever direct. I relate so uniquely to this story. At the core of this play is love between a young Black man who's growing up and a mother who loves him so fiercely and so proudly. And I'm grateful to have that relationship with my mom. And so I really call this play my love letter to Lucille and my thank you to Lucille. And I am so grateful as an artist and as an audience member that I get to experience this story. But I'm also deeply, deeply passionate in my career, so personally and professionally, about creating work that reflects back a community to itself, work that grows what an audience looks like. I'm deeply interested in changing what the American theater looks like. Who's producing, who's getting produced, who takes stage, how do we tell a story, how do we tell an audience you matter, who's making the work? And Pipeline allows me to check all those boxes. And so it's one of the most proudest moments for me as a professional and as a person. But all the work we're doing, I get to have my hands in. And we have 2 new plays coming at City Theater this spring that have never been done before by 2 award-winning writers making Pittsburgh debuts. I'm getting just as happy about that as I'm about Pipeline. And the play by Jen Silverman that I'll direct this winter, it's called The Roommate. It's a play about how people can connect and learn to grow and laugh in the midst of all their sadness. They can laugh and laugh big. It's a big old comedy. And that makes me just as pumped because that's the story I want to be telling also, and that's what it comes back to having an artistic home, somewhere I can tell stories that are all so different, but at the core of them is, work that is personally moving and powerful, but also really professionally satisfying. So Pipeline stands out as number 1, but they all truly are personal, thank you.
Yeah, I guess you can't not get personal with any of them, right? Otherwise, you probably would be doing your job, right?
Yeah,
so.
It's a piece of my heart out there. It's a piece of my brain and my heart in the work that we do. And so that's a courageous act, but I couldn't imagine doing anything else but sharing stories like this.
Now, do you get to decide which ones you want to direct versus which ones you want to bring in somebody else to do it? Or, how does that process work?
Last year I was able to, really decide, and knew right away that I wanted to direct Pipeline. Mm-hmm. And I knew Jen Silverman, the writer for The Roommate, and we had a connection. We're like, oh, this would be a fun show. And I also love to surprise people. And I think The Roommate's going to surprise people. It's not like the other 3 shows I directed at City Theater. And I also feel as an artist, it's important to push yourself and to try new forms and new ideas and new ways of telling stories. And so I'm excited to, play in the room with 2 women in their 50s making a big old comedy. And I've never quite done that before.
Well, I don't want to do any spoiler alerts for Pipeline, but there was, when you came on stage at the end, there was a conversation that happens afterwards, right?
Yes.
And you asked people what their favorite part of the show was. I know what mine was. Mine was the scene in the hospital between the father and son. And I feel like I would have a missed opportunity if I did not ask you if you had a favorite moment in the play.
Oh my gosh, that's
How do you pick one? I know.
There's so many. There's moments in the play. The play has an extensive video design by Adam J. Thompson, and our lighting designer Andy Ostrowski. And what they've done together, along with sound, I find just some of the most breathtaking theatrical moments I've ever created, or as an audience member had the chance to witness. Mm-hmm. And so there's moments in the play where the actors are bathed in color or bathed in projections. And those are my favorite, I think. It's so scary to say. The actors hopefully aren't listening.
Well, I hope they are.
But it happens 3 times throughout the play where they are, where video kind of is wonderfully interacting with the actors as another character. But my favorite moment inside of that sequence is when we honor the lives of young Black men that have been lost to violence at the hands of white men, and honor that their innocence, they're not gone, they're not forgotten. These innocent young soldiers are angels, guiding this story. And at the core of this play, is the fragility of Black male life in this moment, and how love, hopefully, and I do believe, can trump and overcome. It can overcome the hate in our world. It can overcome the divides in our world, the stress, the fear. I do believe that the love and family and the power of loving yourself can overcome that pain. And to honor those young men who have been taken too soon, by recalling their faces, making them angels, it brings me to tears, and it brings me to pride. So that might be my favorite moment.
Yeah, I mean, I should say it's hard to pick any favorite movie or favorite moment, rather, because the whole thing was so phenomenal. But I do know exactly which part you're talking about. And I would also like to call out to any time they were reciting Gwendolyn Brooks was also very emotional, very powerful. Just the way it was handled, the musicality of it, just the pauses and the crescendos. It was incredibly, incredibly well done.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So I do want to point out there's only 5 shows left of Pipeline, I believe.
So tonight, Friday, 2 Saturday, and Sunday we close. And on Sunday, One Hood's actually going to perform live after the show.
Okay,
so
well,
Sunday's going to be a fun closing performance.
Absolutely. I think that's wonderful. So if you want to check out Pipeline, you've got 5 shows left. Sunday, One Hood will be there performing their soundtrack, which we will have the link to purchase that in the show links. I'm also excited to see what you do next with The Roommate, a big old comedy, which will, there were definitely moments of levity and laughter in Pipeline. I think a big old comedy is going to be a departure, and I'm really excited to see what you do with it.
Yeah, next up at City is Where Do We Sit on the Bus, which is a one-man show about a Latino man growing up in Chicago and figuring out, where do I fit in our country? But he discovers he fits in as a performer. And so there's live music in the show, live dancing. I guess dancing's always live. But it's in our smaller space. So it's going to be a wonderful, intimate, family-friendly experience. And I'm really excited about it. Brian Chiata from Chicago is going to do an amazing job, and our audience will love it. And then The Roommate. And I can't quite announce who's starring in it.
I was going to ask you that. Could we?
It's 2. I can sort of announce. I can tease, I was told.
Come on, give me an exclusive.
But there are 2 Pittsburgh natives starring as Robin and Sharon. So Robin's the drug dealer from the Bronx, and Sharon's the Iowa housewife who end up living in the home together and rediscover their lives, their vitality anew, maybe through a little bit of marijuana and credit card scamming, perhaps, over coffee. But one of them you've seen at City Theater many, many times, and you're going to know her when you see her. And the other one you've seen on NBC as a medical examiner that we all know and love. Okay. And she's from Pittsburgh.
All right. Well, okay, theater nerds, you heard the man. I'll go figure out who this is, crack the case, leave it in the comments.
Hargitay.
It's okay.
But she knows her really well.
But they're friends. Well, that's awesome. But I was reading up on that, and I have heard it described as The Odd Couple meets Breaking Bad, which sounds like it's going to be a heck of a ride.
I'm excited. Running water on stage is always really cool to me. So.
Oh, wow. I can't wait to see how your team does that.
Magic. Theater magic. The coffee's real.
Well, Reginald, thank you so much for taking some time to come on with us this morning, especially I know how busy you are. I can't thank you enough personally for Pipeline. It was just an amazing experience. I urge everybody to get out and see it while it's still here. It's definitely time well spent. It's a great conversation that needs to be had that hopefully will keep people talking after they leave the theater. And Reginald, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time today.
Thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it. And please join us at Pipeline until this Sunday.
Yeah, you might see me lurking there Sunday. Who knows?
Yeah, come on in.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, guys, you heard the man. I'm anxious to see who these 2 stars are now. Mike, any ideas? Do you have any thoughts?
Oh, I have no idea.
If they're not wrestlers, Mike doesn't know who they are.
I was pulling for Marissa Hargitay. Also, there's a comment from Sue Kerr. Loves your sweater out there.
Loves my sweater or Reginald's? I can't.
I think both of your sweaters is what she said.
Let's just assume she's talking about both of us.
There you go.
I think that's good.
Thank you.
Sweater game is on point today.
Thanks, Sue. Thanks. This is sweater weather. We're finally getting a little chilly here in the Berg. So thanks so much, guys. I'm going to wrap up real fast with something cool happening this weekend. If you did not know this, Pittsburgh is home to a vampire house, House Acros, and they're hosting their very first ever vampire ball this Friday, tomorrow at Cavato. I actually had a Q&A with the leader of House Acros yesterday. I will be putting that up online tomorrow. This is an inclusive event for everybody. House Acros says that they are the protector of others. They want to be a safe space for young and old, all races, genders, sexual identities. It looks like it's going to be a great time. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be there. So I would say check that out this weekend. Obviously, you can go to pittsburghcurrent.com for our event listings. We always have stuff going on. And make sure you're following us on the socials. We have one more. Is it about my sweater?
No. We do have guesses in the chat room. If you want to hear them,
we have guesses in the chat room.
We have guesses.
Reginald, you don't have to yay or nay them. Maybe,
I didn't realize
maybe
this was an actress. Right?
Okay.
Tom Tooney, Sue Kerr says.
Tom Tooney?
I don't know who that is. I'm not up on the NBC game.
I don't know. Reginald, does that sound right? Blink twice if it does.
I think she's from Pittsburgh. I'm not quite sure.
Okay. Well, we wouldn't ask you to give away anything that would get you in trouble with your bosses at work. Don't worry.
I'm reading those blinks.
Yeah, you reading the blinks. Yeah, keep the guesses coming. Check out Pipeline. Roommate's going to be great. Go check out the Vampire Ball. Check out Issue 8 online. Check us out online every day. One quick announcement, too. We will be having our podcast Wednesday next week because I could not talk Mike Sorgan to come in on Thanksgiving. So we will be coming at you live next Wednesday at 10. We'll announce our guests soon. Thank you for the Pittsburgh Current. Thank you, Sorgatron Media. And Reginald, thank you. And the City Theater again. I had a blast this morning. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much, everyone.
All right, now I have to sit here awkwardly till we go out.